What's up guys, Bob Busker here at ThinkComputers, and today we're taking a look at a new case from Enermax. It's their Ostrog GT, and the GT basically means that it is a sort of a souped up version of the original Ostrog case. This is a really good value too. Right now it's selling for $74.99 on Newegg, so it's a great value in the mid-tower segment. So let's just go ahead and check it out. If we go ahead and start at the front of the case, the first thing you'll notice is this really cool mesh design that kind of goes all around the case. And in our version, it is red, but they also have an all black, a blue, and a white version. And of course, the red matches up with the two 140mm fans that are right here, and those are red LED fans. Of course, if you get the white version, they're white LED fans. In the blue version, you'll have blue LED fans there. There are three 5¼ bays, and again, they also have this mesh cover on them. Just adds to the overall great aesthetics of the case. At the top of the case is where you're going to find all of your connections, power buttons, things like that. So right in the dead center, you have your power button. To the left, you have your restart button. On this side, you have power and hard drive activity LEDs. You have a button that turns off the LEDs on the fan. So, you know, if you have this in your room or something like that, of course, you don't want those red fans on all the time. You can easily turn them off with this button. You have two USB 3.0 ports, two USB 2.0 ports, and you have headphone and microphone jacks right here. There's also this little section, of course, there is an Enermax logo right there. You know, you can put your keys there, you can put a flash drive, something along those lines. Moving back, if I move this back here, we have a lot of room for fans. You can fit a single 200 or 230mm fan here, or dual 120 or 140mm fans. The side panel of the case has this large extruded section, and in that section you are going to find a very large case window. So, you know, if you have water cooling or if you have something that looks cool inside your case, you're definitely going to be able to see it. At the back of the case, you're going to find a 120mm exhaust fan. So that brings the total to 3 included fans. You have the two 140s on the front and this 140 on the back. There are 3 water cooling holes. It is a little weird to see 3. You have 2 larger ones and a very small one here. You have all of your expansion slots, and then you have the extra slot over here if you want to install some type of controller or maybe some type of fan to help cool your video cards. Of course, at the bottom, you are going to have your placement for your power supply, and you do have thumb screws on both of the side panels. At the bottom of the case are 4 large feet, and you do have filters here for the power supply and a bottom mounted fan that is not included, but these filters are ones that kind of just come out. They're like these little plastic filters that you can remove yourself, but they're not the easy pull out ones. Of course, you know, if I want to put this back in, it's going to be a little more difficult than, you know, the other ones. I kind of have to get it to fit in there, which sort of worked out a little bit there, but it's much harder than the ones that kind of just pull out. You can clean and pull it right back in. Once inside, there are a few things that I always like to look for. First, we take a look at our motherboard tray. Our standoffs are included. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 cable routing holes and a large CPU cutout. All the cable routing holes, while they do not have the rubber inserts, all of the metal is rounded back. So if I'm moving my fingers in here, I'm not going to get caught on anything. And of course, that makes it easy. So when you're routing your cables, you're not going to rip them, of course, on the edges right here. And we do have internal USB 3.0. The 3 5¼ bays right here use a simple locking system to lock your drives. It seems to be pretty easy. Of course, we're going to see how well it works once we get our drives installed. There are 2 hard drive cages here, each which have 1, 2, 3, 4 spots for hard drives. So a total of 8 hard drives can be placed in these 2. That is only 3.5" hard drives. You have another little cage right here that supports 2 2.5" hard drives. Now, one thing that's cool is you can remove the middle cage here. You just kind of press this down, and you can take this cage completely out. Now, the cage for the 2.5" hard drives can also be removed. It can be placed on top of this cage without this cage installed, or it can be placed actually inside this cage, sort of like right here. So, you know, if you want to install a bottom mounted fan, you can do that while removing the cage, or if you have a longer power supply and you want to get the cage out of the way, you can do that as well. At the bottom of the case, you can see there are these 4 rubber feet here that are going to lift your power supply off the bottom of the case. And we can get a closer look here at the 2.5-inch hard drive cage. It's right here. Now remember, this can be removed and you can install a 120 millimeter bottom mounted fan down there. All of the expansion slots use a simple screw design, which I'm actually a huge fan of. I really don't like the tools designs. They never seem to work correctly. Moving up, you do have your 120 millimeter exhaust fan, and it does use a 3-pin connector, so you can connect it directly to your motherboard or a fan controller for easy monitoring and of course changing the speeds. Also at the top here, we can see there is a very large cutout here for your CPU power. That's one thing I really nitpick on cases, is the CPU cutout for your power cable, just because so many case manufacturers mess it up and it doesn't work right. It looks like this one's definitely big enough and you're gonna have more than enough room back there. I've gone ahead and removed the backside panel just so you can see sort of how everything is set up. You can see all of your cable routing holes and the CPU cutout are rounded off, and of course this big section right here is rounded off, so you're not going to rip your cables, and more importantly, you're not going to cut yourself while doing your installation. You have multiple tie down points, so you're going to be able to tie all of your cables down with zip ties. Also, there is quite a lot of room here between the backside of the motherboard tray and the side panel of the case, about an inch of space. Also, the side panel actually comes out a little bit, so you're gonna have even more space, you know, to route all your cables. It doesn't look like there's gonna be any issues. Of course, we're gonna see all of that in our installation though, so stay tuned for a follow-up video which will do our full hardware installation. And remember, we will have our full written review coming up on ThinkComputers.org. But that is it here for our overview video of the Enermax Ostrog GT case. It is a mid-tower and it's selling right now for about $74.99.